Welcome back everyone to our gameplay series of Transport Fever 2. In today's video, we are going to branch out and get into the railroad business for the first time. See there, we've got some new vehicles, but what we're going to focus on for today is setting up our initial railroad routes. And the way I want to do that is come to what should be our most profitable routes here in the early game, which are the raw material routes. In this case, the crude oil, taking it to be processed. And in the future, we'll expand that and we will eventually make most of the lines that will either be railroad or maybe airline, something along those lines instead of the vehicles. But we got to start somewhere. So I believe we'll start right up here at the top where it all began at Costa Mesa and our very first route, which was for the crude. Now, why the crude? We have a huge amount of demand that, quite frankly, we just can't meet with the current technology for road vehicles. So I think this makes the perfect spot. Now, in a perfect world, we would have one route that could go seamlessly down and through and maybe even into the city, but that's not looking like that's going to be the easiest thing to do. So we're going to do the best we can with this and see if we can't make this work out. I think if we come right along here, put another station somewhere in here, and then branch off and come down maybe like right through here somewhere. And then that will give us room to come down into the city, wherever it is the fuel needs to go in the city. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to make one end of this. We'll go ahead and use a terminus station since we don't really need this to connect to anything from both directions. Let's see, and I'm trying to see how I need to line this up. Multiple ways that we could go about connecting this with the streets, but I'm liking this idea pretty good right now. Let's see, we don't want it to be... Okay, we'll go with that. That shouldn't be any problem. Now we'll go to the regular type of station, and what I want to do is, as best I can, try to get it right over here somewhere. All right, let's see if that will actually work. Because remember, before we can do anything, we're going to have to connect this thing to the road and make sure that this particular area is highlighted. All right, so let's just go ahead and... Okay. And no, it is not highlighted. Okay, so that won't work. What if, before we just give up and get rid of the station and move it around, let's try the road in a different area. Let's try coming off about right up there. There we go. So that took care of it. We just need one connection right up here. You can see we've actually got two connections here of the possible, I believe, three, because you got one more over there, I believe. So we're in good shape there. It highlights on both ends. And now, so these aren't exactly lined up the way we would want them. Let's get in, do some tracks, and see if we can make this work. I think we can. Let's go ahead and let's see what happens if we do that. Ooh, that comes out awfully close to the road. But you notice 75s across the board. And that's really what we're looking for as much as possible. These are not high-speed lanes. We'll get into those a little bit later in the game with technology. But yeah, we had just enough room next to that road to make that happen. So at this point, we need to make some adjustments to the existing structure, because we're going to need to make sure that they don't continue to use the roadways. But before we do that, let's go ahead and get everything else lined up. And again, because we don't need to expand this particular station, I'm just going to drop... There we go. We'll go ahead and drop that there. Then we'll come back to the tracks. We'll connect this up. And something like that should be fine. The speed is not an issue there, because since we'll only be using this sparingly. We'll use it to purchase new trains, and then we'll also use it to upgrade or change our trains. So let's go ahead and set up our new route. So there's junction 1 and 2. So we're going to name this Costa Mesa, and this will be crude, just like the landline that we set up. All right, so now that's good to go. Let's go in under Vehicle Manager. We're going to filter it here. So now we're going to highlight, and remember, we got 30 vehicles here. We're just going to go ahead and get rid of all of those. So now that's done. We're going to do the same thing here. And we're going to get rid of the route altogether. The reason I get rid of the route as well as the vehicles is because sometimes it will still want to use these even when there are no vehicles on it. So we'll just go ahead and take care of that problem right up front. All right, so no electric or diesel right now. We'll have to go with steam, which is perfectly fine with me. The tractive effort, 15,737, should be sufficient. You can see that is a good bit more than where we were earlier. So the Baldwin class, I like it. Now we're going to come down to the wagons. We want cargo. And in this case, we're going to be dealing with oil and crude. So we can use the same type of car, in this case, a tank car, for the entire line from beginning to finish. We're going to start out with a capacity of 70. We might be able to expand that actually, but I'm trying to watch out for our money a little bit here early on. All right, so we'll do this. We'll highlight our train and get it started. So immediately you can see there is some oil that's coming into the depot. So I'm actually going to reverse this thing here in just a moment once I'm sure it's out. There we go. Now it's out from the depot. Now it can come in. Oh yeah, we've already got a huge amount waiting. So it looks like we're going to be able to expand. So there we go. Train picks up the initial oil. So 62 out of 70. And the plan is that it has at least 70 by the time we come over, sell this first load, and then get back. Something tells me we're going to have a whole lot more than 70 over here by the time it gets back. Yeah, it's looking very good for that. And also, let's check the speed of the train, 31 miles an hour, which is the maximum speed. There you go, top speed 31. So that means we haven't overburdened the train to the point where it can no longer handle the loads that we're giving it. As far as I know, there's no real guide to how much you can actually pull with one of these trains. If there is, I don't know about it. So that is certainly possible that one exists. But now, let's go ahead and pull up. This should be an immensely profitable route for us. 319,000 right now. That alone is more than what we were seeing previously. All right, so let's take a glimpse in here. So we're running at this point probably around 30 would be a max capacity. Thinking ahead about a train route coming down to the fuel station. That would be my guess anyway. And I want to find out real quick. And we're just going to go here. Okay, so fuel is on this side of the town. Okay, that's really good. So what I'm thinking now is we make our next route come right down in through here. We can connect on to this road and about this area, and then we'll put our terminus station right down here. It'll connect onto this road, and that will be exactly where we need over in the industrial area. Okay, I like that. We're back up to $4 million, and let's just real quick check to see where we are. Okay, we just finished another sale. Oh yeah, we're over 200. So we're going to be able to expand. And in fact, let's just go ahead and do that right now. Let's go ahead and send this to the depot. We're not going to sell it because we're just going to expand it. So we're going to actually edit this train. So normally I'd wait a little while before I did this step. But in this case, we've already got the route up and going with the vehicles. We know how much supply there is there. So I think we're in good shape. And keep in mind, I'm not pausing the game during any of this. Normally, that's exactly what you would want to do. So let's pull up this train, edit this. So we'll take the capacity from 70 all the way up to Let's just go 98. I don't really want to push it much farther than that right now because, again, I'm not exactly sure how much this train can actually pull and reach maximum speed or near max speed. So once again, I'm going to let it get out here, then I'm going to reverse it so that it can pick up this oil and not make an empty trip. Going to make sure we let it get out. There we go. It's out fully. So we're at around 200 there. So obviously we're going to have a full load. And naturally, the higher the amount we can carry, the more efficient it's ultimately going to be, assuming that we didn't kill our speed too much by overburdening the train. Trains that we'll get later on in the game will more than be able to handle this type of load. But for right now, I want to see if we can get even close to that 31. We don't really have to get to it because it's such a short distance. It's high, top speed is not really a huge issue. But here you can see we are at, we're going to be approaching 30 or 31. So it's a non-issue. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit because we'll see how much we're going to make. It'll pop up above the train here momentarily once it reaches the station. All right, here we go. And $858,000. Ladies and gentlemen, that's why you want to use trains instead of vehicles, particularly early on in the game. All right, so now that is really going to help us set up our next train station. And we'll use this type. Let's see, I'm trying to keep in mind how I need this to look in order to accurately get to where we want to be for the final station. So I'm thinking something like that should be pretty good. Let's try that. And then we'll set up a terminus station down here. All right, we'll have to make this work a little bit here. This is going to be a bit of an issue, but I think we can make this happen by doing that, and then we'll do our tracks. Let's see, let's back off a little bit, connect these up while I'm thinking about it. And now we need to connect a street to this. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and get, and I think I want to do something like this. This is not going to look pretty, but it will suffice for right now. Who knows, maybe later on we can come up with a different solution, but that will get us where we need to be right now. Now we can come back up to our tracks, and let's see if we can make this happen. All right, looks like, okay, so we're not up to full speed right here. That shouldn't be a problem. 75's the rest of the way. I like it. Let's connect them. Normally you'd want to go with shorter segments here, but I wanted to see if this would work out, and sure enough, no huge bumps in the road doing it that way. But we're not quite done up here at our second station in the line, because what I want to do now is we actually want to configure this. The way it's setting right now, you're going to have trains coming in from this way, bringing the crude. Then you're going to have trains coming in this way to pick up the refined oil. And only one train can occupy the station at a given time, so it's going to cause issues unless we add additional platforms. So let's go ahead and do just that. We're going to add a secondary line. Now we'll go to tracks. Okay, so we're done with the station. Now we can come back out to our regular menu and simply connect everything up. Okay, now we're done with this bit of track. And just to keep things pretty simple, normally I would want to use this one depot for everything, but because of the way this is sort of laid out, I'm not terribly interested in doing that. Let's see, train 1, what don't you like? Why is train 1 stopped? It's waiting for something, but I'm not sure what. It says no path. I didn't get rid of everything. I have no idea what it's waiting for. We didn't touch anything back here. So I've got the game paused, which is a rarity for me. That is very odd. Okay, let's come into the line manager. And oops, we need the train. Okay, everything looks good there. I tell you what, just to save us a little bit of time, I'm just going to try a couple of things. And the first thing I'm going to try is to put back what we just got rid of and see if that will get things up and moving. Okay, it does not. Wow. All right, so it's got crude. It, for some reason, isn't reaching where it needs to reach. That is very, very odd. So let's see if we can reverse it. And so it's already carrying the crude. So what I'm going to do is let it reverse out of here. And then I'm going to turn it around and let it try to come back into the station. Because right now I'm a little bit confused as to why it's having an issue. You can see the alert is gone up here at the top. So obviously I did something to anger it. Hopefully we have made nice once again. And we can get back to making money. Okay, turn around. There we go. Okay, so a little hiccup. But overall, we're still in business. All right, now I'm going to actually put another one of these depots out here. Spend a little bit of money, but as you can see, money is not a huge issue for us at this particular juncture. So I'm just going to drop one out here, and we're not going to spend too much time worrying about it. Okay, connect up our station. And so now we're ready for our second route, which will replace the vehicles. And that's going to be taking the refined oil down here to be turned into fuel. So first thing we need to do is set up our line. Then we'll need to adjust our line actually. All right, so Costa Mesa oil. All right, now let's go ahead and let's get rid of the existing. So we got 20 vehicles on there right now and a pretty good amount of supply coming out. But we don't want to strip that and get a little bit too excited. All right, there's the one we want to get rid of. So let's get rid of that line. We'll come in later on, and if I remember, we'll get rid of these actual locations here since we don't need those anymore. Now let's come in, purchase another. I think we're going to need a Baldwin class for this. Maybe not. The reason you might want to go for a lower number is that upkeep per year, that maintenance number. I think we're okay with the Baldwin, but I'm not actually sure that we need it. We're going to go with a capacity of 42 to start off with. Every one of these we adds additional maintenance per year, and we don't need that. So we want to get just what we need for our demand and no more. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. All right, so right now what we're looking for is to see oil pop up in here. And we'll take this opportunity to make an adjustment to the actual line. So we'll come in under oil, and you can see it's still wanting to use this same platform. So we're going to come in under Costa Mesa sidings. We'll make an adjustment, change this to 3, and now we'll use the second platform with no delays. All right, so we're going to watch the oil get unloaded, and then immediately after that, we should start to see some oil pop in here, and sure enough, there it is. Okay, perfect. That's what we want. So it might take a little bit for this to actually become profitable. Yeah, it's only going to get about 15 this first time through, which is certainly not maximizing our returns, but that'll get us to where we want to go, which is to have a good start. All right, we've got our road connection here. Everything looks good. This is only 11. Right now, I don't know that that's really necessary to get another line. However, because we're in the mood of setting up new routes, we're going to do that. Let's see, first things first, let's go ahead and configure this. And we're going to add another platform and another set of rails, just as we did at station number 2. All right, and let's get more tracks. Drop those out there, and I'm going to try to get us another train out here. It'll be tricky. We'll only have a short amount of time to make this happen, but hopefully we can squeeze it through there without having to put down another depot. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get, this time, the general should be fine. Yeah, let's just go ahead and use the general. And then cargo, of course, will still be the tank car. We'll have a capacity of 21, so that'll keep our cost down somewhat. And hopefully, oh, we forgot to do our line. Let's see, where's our train? He's coming back. So we're going to go ahead and pause this for just a moment, because I'm hoping that as soon as this train passes by the connection here, our new train will come out and head on down to where it needs to be. Let's see. Okay. Let's set up our line. New line going from there down to the city, which is a very short trip. So we don't need a powerful locomotive or a huge amount of capacity. So this is, well, I've already forgotten. Costa Mesa. There we go. Too many things going through my head to remember exactly what it was I was setting up. All right, so that will take care of that. I'm going to set up another connection right here just so that it can very easily get there. Otherwise, I'm going to have to work with it once it gets past. And I would just soon do this on the front end, quite frankly. Okay, so that gives us the connections we need. And let's see, where are we? So we've already got our train set up. Let's go ahead and turn everything on. Set it busy on the fuel. You can see it's waiting, and now it should take off and try to beat that other train to the punch. All right, so train 2, you can see it waiting, and it's going to wait until this train gets all the way down since they're on the same tracks. But most importantly, 42 of 42, so the oil production has ramped up quite a bit. That is awesome. All right, now we need to come back into our line and go to the fuel. And so we need Costa Mesa Central. We need to turn that over to the other line. Okay, we should be all set. So I don't think it picked up anything. Yes, it did actually, 5. Wasn't expecting it to do anything. Look how small that train looks to compare it to the number of cars we've put on some of the others. But this should work just fine, and hopefully, because we've minimized the cost quite a bit, that's going to help us out. All right, so this is going to take a little bit to run its course and get us to where we need to be. Did it pick up any this time? Okay, just 1. So it's going to have to take a little bit for the demand to reach where we need it to. And that's why I wanted to get a much smaller and less expensive train here. So let's go ahead and let's see. We only have a few train routes, so let's see how they're doing. So we've taken care of our very first city, all 3 of the routes to provide fuel. And I would have to say that we're looking pretty good. 1.1 million on the crude route. The oil is doing quite nice as well. We'll have to see how this all progresses. My guess is that's going to get even better now that the oil route is running with a full load. Let's see how much a full load is worth here. 260,000. All right, that is very nice. And we'll keep an eye on this as time goes on. But when we come back next time, we'll be looking to expand our rail network to the other cities that we now have up and running. That'll do it for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more Transport Fever 2.